Good evening. Welcome to the Celtic Way, and it's a reaction to Celtic's pre-match press conference. Try that again. Press conference against St Mirren in the Scottish Cup fifth round on Sunday. Paolo Bernardo and Brendan Rodgers were speaking today. My name's Tony Haggerty at Haggerty10 on the X or Twitter handle. I'm delighted to be joined by Ryan McGinley at the Ryan McGinley. How are you, sir? Long time no see and speak.
How long's that been? About 6 hours or so, something
Yes,
like
indeed.
that. Yeah, it's been a long time coming, I guess, but we're back. We're back. Back talking about the pre-match press conferences. Paolo Bernardo faced the media today, as did Brendan Rodgers, the Celtic manager. So yeah, looking forward to talking about the quotes that have came our way. Some interesting quotes today.
Yeah,
Probably say more so Brendan Rodgers and Paolo Bernardo, which is slightly due to the fact that it's a second language for Paolo Bernardo, but still some interesting takeaways from that too. But we'll get into the meat and bones of it, I guess.
yeah. And we say thank you to MPH Group, who are the sponsors of the Celtic Way briefings for all your plumbing, heating, kitchen, and bathroom needs. Check out MPH Group and a Nevian boiler promotion still going strong. You'll get a gadget with that which cranks up your heating to 98%. But they are Scotland's award-winning family concern, and they cover the whole of mainland Scotland. So we say thank you to them for that. So all good, young Ryan playing about with the buttons there. As you can see, technology is his
Probably
forte.
should have done that before the video started. I get that, but you live and learn these
Of
things.
course, every day is a school day. Every day is a school day, as they say. Now, Ryan, the manager was speaking today. Paulo Bernardo was speaking today. We'll take that's Paulo Bernardo quotes that are on the screen right now, isn't it?
It certainly
So
is.
they're on the website now, guys. If you want to have a look at that, www.celticway.co.uk, you'll have a look at that. But there's his thoughts there. So he was asked about Wednesday night and if it had the feeling of a big win. And he was speaking about, because the team needed confidence and they knew that they had to win. So it was great to win, as you can see, and they were very happy to have won the match. But he was talking about levels needing raised, wasn't he, Ryan?
Yeah, he's a player that maybe his own levels have fallen slightly below where they're expected to be. At least they were before the winter break. I get that he's just a player on loan. He's trying to secure a permanent deal for the club. Hopefully that will still be the case at the end of the season. But yeah, he's a player that maybe went off the boil the past couple of games. I think some players have been worse than Bernardo, but he definitely has dropped it just ever so slightly since coming back. I thought he was good against Bucky Thistle, but you don't want to disrespect the opponent too much, but you would expect players like Paulo Bernardo, who's played games for Benfica before in the past, to be able to play against Bucky Thistle. But yeah, he's going back to one of his happy hunting grounds. I thought he was really, really good against St Mirren the last time he played there at the Smiths Stadium. He's he's definitely a player that's really talented, and you can see that the win meant a lot to him after that 90th minute winner from Adam Ida at Easter Road, which was obviously Brendan Rodgers' first win at the stadium. So yeah, I thought he came across quite well. He's a player that you're hoping can get back on the horse and really contribute from now until the end of the season. I think it's 13 cup finals they've got, plus the added extras of those cup games in particular. So you're hoping that they'll have as busy a fixture list as possible, because it means that they've got to the final of the Scottish Cup as well.
My ball coming in saying Bernardo's just a young player, and that's why he will be inconsistent. Yep, get that too. And fair play to him, as you say, for stepping up to the plate and doing the interviews with English being obviously second language. But that's a few he's done now since he came in. So I always admire players to do that. I don't think I could go to Portugal and hold any court with any journalist firing questions at me in Portuguese. So there you go. But yeah, he has he's had a by his own high standard that he set himself in terms of that St Mirren game, his goal against Rangers as well. He was, he was on he hit a real purple patch, didn't he, Ryan? To be fair to him, So if he's saying that the team need to get back to those kind of levels, I think he's kind of looking introspectively and saying that himself has to improve as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think they talk about it collectively that the team
Yeah,
needs to improve as a whole, but you can sometimes find that they'll be talking about themselves when they do that because they're their own harshest critics at the end of the day.
yep,
These players, they look at everything. They'll probably go home and analyse their performances. They'll go in with the analysis team. Um, After games and see where they can do better. I think Brendan Rodgers, and we'll get on to talk about that, he's already sat down, or these analytics team have actually sat down with Kuhn and talked about his performance on Wednesday, which
yep,
is good. It's good that they can have that sort of relationship with the player. It's commonplace in football nowadays to have analysts that will help these players get their percentages better, no matter how big or small they are, those percentages. If they can improve them in any way, then that's the main thing. But yeah, he's definitely a confident player, Bernardo. I think he's a breath of fresh air. You know, although he's Portuguese and English is certainly not his first language. I think he holds his own in the press conferences, and he's a player that you want to do well whenever he takes to the field, and hopefully that'll be the case on Sunday afternoon as well. He knows that Celtic need to improve their game, needs to improve in training and playing the games, and give a bit more than that they can do. I'm just reading out some of the quotes. And then when he was talking about difficult away grounds and what's the manager been saying, he then takes it back and says, that's a question for the coaches and they'll teach us how to make us better. We had a great time before the break and we just have to replicate that level. That comes with confidence and playing more games. I think we're playing better each game and we just need to keep going. So yeah, a very confident player, isn't he, Tony?
yeah. And I think a lot of supporters might dispute that they're getting better with each game, but that's perception, isn't it? But yeah, I agree. He's a confidence player, and I think he was riding the crest of a wave there just prior to the break. He's come back and he's maybe dipped his own personal levels, but at least I'm happy that he's aware of that, and he hasn't made any reference to the fact that he thought he was playing really well in any kind of comfort zone stuff like that. So glad about that. But yeah,
Kind of want to go down to these
when you go,
comments actually. Yeah, just the comments. He was comparing Celtic and Benfica as similar sized clubs, two massive clubs in their respective countries of Portugal and Scotland, obviously. But he's saying that the pressure, he's used to the pressure, even playing for the young teams
yep,
of Benfica, they're under 12s or under 13s. I think that was what the journalist asked. Even playing in those young teams, are you still faced with that pressure of needing to win, even in those age groups? And he was talking about that. He's saying Benfica's a big club and Celtic too. They're quite similar clubs in the demand to win every game. In Benfica, it's the same. At Celtic, a big club, you have to win all the games that you participate in. And Benfica, it happened too. So I think all of my youth teams in Benfica were like that also. So yeah, it's good that he can take that experience from playing for Benfica, arguably the biggest club in Portugal. Although Porto would probably have something to say about that as well, I presume. Yeah, it's good that he can take that from one club to the next one. I know that's still his parent club, but he can take it to Celtic where that's expected of him too.
yeah, we'll just hope that Paulo Bernardo, if selected, and the rest of the team raise their levels and if they play anything like they did on January the 2nd when they won 3-0, I think they'll be good to go and they will advance to the next round of the Cup. Now, Anthony Brogan comes in and he says, would like to see Celtic with two strikers playing a 4-4-2. Anyone will do against St Mirren, Hill guys. And Brian McGarry comes in and he says, Brendan didn't get the quality players he needs for his system, so he's got to alter the system to suit the players. So there you go. But over 130 people joining us live, guys, on the stream. Thanks very much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Now, Ryan, the manager had a lot of interesting things to say, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't
I think.
either. You can flick that up if you, it's
Yeah,
on the
well,
website, guys.
do you want to just do it chronologically from what you said? So
Yeah,
it was a bit of an
sure.
injury up. It was a bit of an injury update.
Yep.
First of all, talking about
Yeah,
Alistair Johnson, he was asked about Alistair Johnson. Obviously, he was taken off within minutes of the game starting at Easter Road on Wednesday night. And his response was, we're just waiting on the results of a scan for him. He won't be available for the weekend. He might have a slight fracture on the side of his head, but we're just waiting on confirmation of that. The journalist then responded asking, is it a long-term fear? And he said, I don't know. We'll wait and see. That's a bit of a blow, isn't it, Tony? Although Tony Ralston, your namesake, Tony and Tony. He had a good game by all accounts when he came on at Easter Road, but it's a blow having Celtic's first choice right back out for what you would think would be the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I think he was reticent to put any time scale on that, but I was kind of trying to read between the lines, thinking he could be out for quite some time, especially if it's a blow to the side of the head and it's a fracture. That doesn't sound too good. But when you saw the replay of it, it was completely accidental, but it looked a sore one, didn't it? It looked a really, really sore one. And even Alistair Johnston's picture that he sent from the hospital, he just looked completely out of it, didn't he? And despite the fact he was smiling, yes, exactly. So
smile through the pain, I guess.
Yeah, smiling through the pain barrier. Yeah, so
but I do like the insistence to tell everybody how good a result it is. It shows that he wasn't too knocked out. The fact that he woke up, or it looked as if he was awake when he was getting stretchered off. That's what I was watching. It seemed as if one of the paramedics or one of the medical team were talking to him as he was coming off the pitch. His ear was sore by the time that Alistair Johnston stopped talking, because it's well known how chatty that Alistair Johnston is. Maybe even after he was knocked out or after he'd had that injury. Usually it's a good sign if Alistair Johnston's talking, because if he's talking, then it means all is well with his physical and mental condition. So it was good to see him. It was great to see that update getting shared about from Alistair Johnston, and hopefully he's well on the way to recovery.
However long he's out for, we wish him a speedy recovery process, but waiting on the prognosis and that, but it doesn't sound too great, does it? And a fracture in the head's just not what you wanted to hear, but it doesn't surprise you, having seen the incident again. So we wish him well. Carter Vickers, he said, is out on the training pitch, but he won't be ready for the weekend. Owen Yang came back. He said they were fit and trained well. Greg Taylor, he also said near the end, wasn't he? He was asked about Greg Taylor, and he said that if he didn't make it this week, he would certainly make it next week. So you have to think that that's touch and go, isn't it? Might not be risked against St Mirren in the Cup. So that was kind of basically the kind of all the fitness and personnel issues, wasn't it?
Yeah,
injury issues. Nobody else.
Iwata wasn't mentioned, although he's back on the grass. Training on the grass at Lennoxtown. I think it could have been a good game for him to come back to, if I'm being perfectly honest, to throw him in and put McGregor further forward. He might still be a few weeks away, but I'm looking forward to seeing his return when he does, because I think he brings a different dimension to the midfield, because you get Bernardo and O'Reilly, who are very similar, not just in the way they look, but also in the way they play, the way they motor about the pitch. They're taller frame, they're good at passing, they're a goal threat as well. I'd just like to see that defensive stability with Iwata on the pitch. And if not Iwata, then I think it's something that needs to be addressed in the summer, because what is happening quite regularly in Europe is now happening in the Premiership, with games becoming basketball games where it's one end and then the other. Celtic need to keep that control, and I think one way in which they can keep that control is if they have a number 6 in that position to put out fires before the fires make their way to the central defenders, because at the moment when a fire is going, when the fire gets to the central defenders at the moment, it's panic stations, and that can't be happening. So I think they just need that extra maybe even a seatbelt in front of them. He's a bit of a seatbelt, a safety net just in front of them that will put out all of these dangers before it gets them. If necessary, the defenders can step in. But I would love to see a number 6 there, an enforcer, a destroyer, whatever word you want to use to describe. I want to see that player there, because I think that every good team in the world, every elite team in the world has a destroyer or a number 6 in that position. You look at Manchester City with Rodri. You can even talk about Arsenal with Celtic's former transfer target and Declan Rice. All of these, and I'm not saying that Celtic are anywhere near these teams in terms of quality, but I think they need a number 6 to play like these teams. Yeah.
A Wanyama type, is that what you're talking about, Ryan?
Yeah, but even a more mobile Wanyama, and I know Wanyama could get about the pitch, but maybe sort of end of his Tottenham days that people sort of saw how slow that he could be, but
a Scott Brown type then.
But even then, Scott Brown wasn't signed as a defensive midfielder to begin with.
Yeah, I know.
He played more wide, and then
Yeah.
he then
Grew
transitioned
into that
into
though,
sort of
yeah.
a number 6, number 8 role. I know he played with a number 8, but he could play as a box to box. Very, very versatile, very underrated Celtic player, I would say as well. And that sounds weird saying that, but he's more than just a figurehead. I thought he was a great player for Celtic.
Yeah, he was.
And I think he's underrated by Scotland in general.
We could do with either or of them in this position, but
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
their time has been and gone. Now,
You need
Brendan
a number
Rodgers,
6. You always need a number 6 in the team.
Brendan Rodgers was talking about what the win could do, what lifting the players, but he spoke about the heart and soul the other night, didn't he, Ryan? He mentioned it again, talking about bringing, you can see the quotes there, guys, what leaps out to you is, if all else fails, at least bring your A game, isn't he? He's saying, give it your all, your heart and soul. But that's what they've been focusing on since the Hibs game in midweek, bringing their A game back to the table and having that heart and mentality to keep going on to the end, as he says there, and get a win, which is very important. Which is the kind of positive from the other night, wasn't it? That he was more or less driving home, wasn't he? He was telling everybody that would listen that the team played with heart and soul and they got the win. Lots of people saw it differently, didn't think they were particularly great, but that was the silver lining and positive, wasn't it? That and the fact that Adam Eder, that Celtic had inadvertently discovered a penalty taker in the process of Wednesday night.
Yeah,
So,
did a PSA after the game that Celtic have
yeah,
got a penalty kick taker, and I know we had a bit of a false dawn with Lewis Palmer, who looked like a competent penalty kick taker. That might still be the case down the line, but for the moment,
yeah.
it's very much Ida's role to lose in the team. But
Brendan mentioned the composure that he showed with both penalties. First one in 5 minutes to get off the mark, your account open for the club, and then the second one in the last minute. There it's there, you know.
do you want me to read it out?
Go on.
So the question that was posed to Brendan Rodgers was, a huge positive has been the Adam Ida and his goal return. Can we get your thoughts on what he will bring to this title running, and can his arrival benefit Kyogo? Brendan Rodgers replied saying, it was important to get a level of player that could come in and contribute. That was Adam's first 90 minutes for a long period of time. What was really impressive was, in terms of his 2 penalties, the composure and authority that he showed. It is not easy in the timeline for him to take in the first one and netting his first goal for the club, and the last one, which was going to hopefully be a winning goal. To score them with that authority was great. And the actual game itself, just him coming to terms with how he wanted to press the game and how he wanted to run in behind. He was constantly searching. He got into some good positions. He's only going to get better. He has to keep pushing himself. There are lots of players in the world that have talent, but you don't know their names. They're playing in parks in various cities around the world. He has a talent, but he has to keep ensuring that he works and works. And if he can do that, then he'll be a real asset for Celtic between now and the end of the season. You know, when you hear a quote from the manager from a press conference and you just know that you're going to use that as the headline.
It's the
I
headline.
think that was the one that jumped out at me. I thought that was a great quote from Brendan Rodgers. And just as a bit of an aside, I do prefer listening to Brendan Rodgers' press conferences than his predecessor, because I think you learn a bit more from a Brendan Rodgers one. He sort of takes you through a bit of an educational journey. Maybe Ange Postecoglou's one more entertaining, but with Brendan Rodgers, you get a bit of get a bit of an education when you're listening to him. But I like that from him. The players playing in parks and you don't know their names. Talent can only take you so far, but it's all about keeping that composure and keeping that consistency going from now until the end of his loan deal.
Yeah, and keep your eye on the website, because we'll be writing something about the press conference, which was up here on the website some point tonight. But it's the natural talent, but you have to nurture that natural talent, don't you? That's basically what he's saying. It's up to Adam Eder. You can have all the natural talent in the world, but if you don't nurture it and work hard, then you won't get anywhere. And he is just, I think, keeping the young boys' feet in the deck as well. Don't get carried away. You did something really wonderful the other night, and you are saluted as a hero. But you come to me today, and I'll say to you, going to have to do that again. Going to have to do that for the next 13 league games. Going to have to do that in the Cup on Sunday. Maybe with Norwich you can get away with doing that, once in every 3 games. Here you have to do it constantly. You have
It's
to
every
keep
game, aye.
peaking and peaking and peaking. And that's a lot of pressure to put on a young boy's shoulders. But if that's the first sign of how he handles pressure with those 2 penalty kicks, the manager's saying, you've got a player here, but he has to do all the right things as well. He can only help him so much. He was telling that, and I, like you, I'm always, when you come, I love listening to Angie as well. I think both of them had a brilliant knack and way of getting their point across, and you felt educated, you felt a bit more, you'd expanded your football knowledge and your football palette. So, and I like Brendan Rodgers when he tells you this about how Adam Ida can function, as you say, players in public parks and all that in various cities around the world. It's the old barstool footballers, isn't it? I was a player once myself. I had trials for Real Imaginary, all that kind of stuff, right? So, and you just kind of laughed, don't you? Said no worries. But yeah, I think he was just not a warning shot over the bow, but it's just keep your feet in the ground, But this guy has an awesome talent. He thinks that can be unleashed, and if he does all the things and he listens to the manager, it's going to benefit Celtic in this short term. And that's maybe the spark that Celtic need to ignite the league, ignite the league challenge for the run in, and also the defence of the Scottish Cup. So that's what I took from that. That this boy can go places in the short term that he's here if he listens to the manager and continues to do the things that they want him to do, because he's naturally talented. But that will only take you so far. You have to keep working at that natural talent, and you can teach players, even natural talented players, you can teach them things. And he's young enough, and hopefully he has it on his shoulders that he's young enough and wise enough to learn. Because what we always say, Brendan's 40 is making players better, isn't it? So here's hoping that if he can make Adam Ida better, then he will, it'll prove to be profitable for Celtic and hopefully highly successful.
Yeah, and fingers crossed that is the case. And if he does well enough, then Celtic take out a permanent option for the player. I know they don't have the option at this moment in time, but you would hope that the two clubs have a gentleman's agreement between the pair of them that Celtic have first dibs on the player if he does do well, and that an affordable fee can be figured out, because he started well, 2 goals. Is it 2 penalties? Obviously, he needs to score an open goal, but 2 goals and an assist in his first 2 games. I think he's played about 120 minutes, 125 minutes. That's quite a good return for the big man to begin with, and you're hoping that he can do the same on Sunday. Speaking about Sunday, Brendan Rodgers was asked about if there were going to be different circumstances to maybe a league game. Brendan Rodgers, he says he would expect that level. That's the level that we need to bring. Stephen Robinson's team are in really good form and they'll have had a couple of really good results. That's very true. They'll see this as a chance because they're at home to avenge our last performance there. We played really well in that game. We maximised having 11 versus 10. We will be ready for that. And then when he was asked, is it one of the toughest ties you could have drawn in this round? He said, I think if you look at it, then it probably is. The form they're in and how well they've been doing speaks for itself. If you're going to win any cup competition, you have to get through various hurdles in away games and tough games, and that's part of the draw, and you have to accept that. No two ways about it. Celtic have the toughest draw, I think, in this, it's the toughest draw that Celtic could have got in the Scottish Cup 5th round, because they're the only team that are facing a fellow Premiership team, and it's an away game as well, and it's a ground that Celtic have struggled with in the not so distant past. So I think that'll work as a positive. I've got to be perfectly honest. I think the fact that they'll have to up their game to play St Mirren, otherwise, they're a team that can hurt you. They're a physical, imposing team. They'll have, I think they'll have all of their Asia Cup players back by now. So it's going to be a difficult game. You're hoping that Celtic have got the right mindset for it.
No second chances, Ryan. Winner takes all. So be prepared to maybe go the distance as well. On Sunday with Celtic, so hopefully that Celtic come out on top in that one, and we are hoping to be there, Ryan, aren't we? The two of us. waiting on official confirmation that we will be in attendance for that one. So here's hoping. But yes, I think Brendan Rodgers, like everything else, he's expecting a tough game. Stephen Robinson, he told you there that they'll be well coached, and he kind of told you there the kind of game that he expects. But again, the tougher the tie, the better for me, because I think Celtic kind of usually rise to that, don't they?
Yeah, I think the bigger the better, and you've got to beat these teams on the way to winning cups. You can't avoid teams like St Mirren forever. You need to, and I say that I'm giving them as much respect as I possibly can because their league position ensures that they get that respect. They have been really, really good this season. They had a tremendous start, a bit of a blip in between, but they've managed to, and that's the showings of a good team. The fact that they had that downward spiral, but they've managed to pick themselves up, and their results recently have been absolutely tremendous. That 3-0 win at Easter Road to Hibs, Celtic only managed to beat Hibs in extra time of that game. The fact, I know Hibs didn't play well, and we've had it under good authority that Hibs were absolutely dreadful on the afternoon. Still roughly the same players. So,
Yeah.
it shows that St Mirren are a good team. They're not a team to be underestimating, that's for sure. And it's going to be a difficult cup tie for Celtic, but one that you hope that they're up for and they've got the right mindset to progress in the tournament.
Yep. Steve McDonald saying Celtic need a hard game. That's what it's all about. And our old friend Graham Caldwell, St Mirren fan. How are you, Graham? Thanks for tuning in. You always tune in. Always pleased to have you. Ryan, you've got the hardest draw question mark. He was absolutely gutted when St Mirren drew Celtic again at the same stage of the competition because they could have waited to the semi-final.
Let me come back in on that.
Go on.
I don't mean the hardest. I mean when everyone is drawn, looking at the ties together, Celtic could have got Rangers away, and that would have been the toughest. Well, actually, they might have even preferred that at this moment in time because they've got a good record against Rangers. Probably Kilmarnock away would have been the most difficult draw at this point in time. But when you look at all the draws that have been made, Celtic and St Mirren is the one that leaps out because it's the all Premiership tie and a very difficult game. When all of them are put out like that, Celtic have got the hardest task, I would say, out with the teams that are maybe playing higher level opposition.
Yeah. Just going to take a few comments, guys. Over 200 people, 222 joining us. Thank you very much. Thanks for your company. Really appreciate it. Ewan Boy Martin, his view on Bernardo is that he's a very good young player. His so-called drop in form is actually coincidental with Calmac and Matt O'Reilly being very poor last few games. He thinks Bernardo's been the best of the three in recent form. Excuse me. Daniel McAlpine. Hi, Ryan and Tony from South Africa. Oh, thanks very much. Great show. Love the new number 9. Biggie that he's talking about. So, greetings and thank you for tuning in all the way from South Africa. Appreciate that. Tam Mack saying there was some pressure on that second penalty that Ida took. The manager said he dealt with it, no bother. Marty Boy saying hopefully Ida can take free kicks as well and score from corners. If he did, Celtic would win 6-0 every week. And here's a friend of mine, Peter Murphy. I was at school with Peter. Hola, Ants. Yes, he's in Gibraltar and he's just returned from sunny Glasgow and he was lucky to take in 2 games at Celtic Park. Paradise and one away. In all his years of following Celtic, he's never watched a more frustrating team. How you doing, Peter, fella? Wish you'd have told me you were over. We'd have caught up, but there you go. But yeah, so lots of people having their say. Michael Ross Hope wishing AJ a speedy recovery, and Graham Caldwell looking forward to Sunday. Michael Ross saying shows how bad it is that Celtic are actually worried about playing St Mirren. You say, Ryan, it sounds like you're getting excuses in early.
11v11, it's going to be a tough game. There's no two ways about that, especially with a team that are in form. It's man, I like to keep track of teams and how they're doing. St Mirren are doing really, really well at the moment. They're winning games, but they can win games convincingly, and they can also win ugly. And that's two factors that show that Stephen Robinson is a very, very good operator at this level. Could potentially have that step up, I would say, as well. I think he could easily manage a Hearts, a Hibs, or an Aberdeen, and I'm surprised that he hasn't been touted for those jobs before.
As I said this morning, I think he garnered a reputation for his teams being good cup teams. So, there are no gimmies in Celtic, certainly no gimme, but they should beat them, But again, you earn the right to beat teams. Michael Ross, Celtic should blow St Mirren off the park. He's saying, and Graham Caldwell coming back in saying he was joking, Ryan, you knew what you're meaning. You've been nothing but kind in your praise of Stephen Robinson. And Alex Forsyth saying St Mirren will give us a game because nobody's frightened of Celtic anymore. Peter Murphy coming back in saying, despite his misgivings, he still thinks Celtic will get a win on Sunday. And Michael Ross saying, no excuses. Yeah, there is no excuses for Celtic not beating St Mirren. But I guess the confidence has dwindled a little bit in the past three Celtic performances. Ross County, Aberdeen and Hibs. So Michael Ross saying, yep, after all, Celtic have an elite manager. Michael, have you been listening? I have been saying this is where the elite level manager will prove that he's worthy of the salary that he gets if he can steer Celtic over the line in both domestic competitions that are left. Lots of Celtic fans' personal jury is out in that, but this is where I want to see Brendan Rodgers, the elite level manager, come into his own. Anything else that caught your eye, Ryan, in terms of the yeah, you got to go over the last one.
The blue card.
The blue card.
This is box office Brendan making another return. He's always got something in his press conference that he says that you can sort of. I don't know if it's a nod to the reporters, as if there's your headline. He's pretty good at that. I think he's quite media savvy, Brendan Rodgers. Certainly think he prefers doing the press conferences a lot more than his predecessor, which probably shows. And you got different qualities from different managers. Obviously, it was good for a soundbite from Ange Postecoglou, especially when he was sort of taking on the media or stuff like that. But with Brendan Rodgers, the blue card comments were quite funny, talking about the green card. He's saying there didn't need to be a green card in Glasgow as well, or they might be in trouble. Just don't complicate it. Just make a decision whether it's a red, yellow, or no card. We don't need a blue card up here, that's for sure. And I think it was Gordon Duncan of Super Scoreboard that said we don't need anything else to argue about, and he said no way. So he's made his feelings very clear on a blue card. Doesn't seem to be. I think it get cancelled today anyway. So I think it's stone dead now. The blue card coming into football for this moment, but it'd be interesting to see if there will be a sin bin sort of approach taken in the upcoming years. Because it could be something that football could use, especially for the cynical tackles that they're talking about. But would it then negate VAR? Rugby uses it, but do you want football to become rugby and vice versa? I'm not so sure.
I'm not having it. Blue card, green card, pink card, orange card, don't care. It's just a nonsense. You can't send players off for 10 minutes. It's just, seriously, where's it going? What are they doing to the game? Leave it as it is. Brendan Rodgers says, just make a decision. Red, yellow, or no card. It's quite simple. That is something that's not broken and doesn't need fixed with any sticking plasters or glue or anything like that. Just leave it. It's nonsense. But that's just my own thoughts on that. Still a few comments coming in. Daniel Grubb coming in saying, how do you know Johnson's injury was accidental, Tony? Looked like a deliberate headbutt to me. I don't think any footballer goes out to injure another footballer like that. I think it was clumsy in the extreme. I've got to be honest, Daniel. I disagree. I don't think a footballer goes out to headbutt a footballer intentionally. I'm willing to accept that it was accidental. What it was a sore one that Alistair Johnson took. But
is it from Nectarios?
It
was Nectarios Triantis, I think it was. Yes. I don't think he went out to injure the player. I think he just mistimed his header. It was a penalty. It was a Stonewall penalty, but
completely and utterly mistimed it. Just got everything wrong. I just refuse to accept that a footballer would want to do that to another one. I don't know. If somebody can say that it was deliberate, then so be it. But we'll agree to disagree in that one. But I just thought I would bring it up because we're a broad church here and we don't just dismiss comments that disagree with what we say as well. But that's my own take. I just think he just totally and utterly mistimed it. I'm finding the word deliberate really hard to process in that one, Daniel. That's all. But listen, you're entitled to your opinion. If you think it was deliberate, so be it. Tony, it can happen in the spur of the moment. I've done the same on the pitch, red mist. Yeah, but the guy's jumping for a football. It's not as if he's ran up and just stuck the head in him. That's a deliberate act, clearly.
I didn't even think there was
contesting for
an
a high
argument.
ball.
To be honest with you, I didn't even think there was an argument to be made. I just thought it was a late
Yeah,
header, trying to go for the ball, two men going for the ball.
And just completely mistiming it and making, an injury in an opponent. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But everyone's entitled to an opinion.
Yeah.
The main thing is the right resolution was found, I think. And Alistair Johnson got off the pitch speedily. He went to hospital. It looks as if he'll be out for I don't know how long, but definitely a couple of weeks.
You may think that's not accidental, but I think he went for a head, not the ball. Glasgow kiss all day. There's a difference between a Glasgow kiss and what Nectarios did there. I'm not having that. I've got to be honest, guys. That was never the deliberate. Just ill fortune, really mistimed. But as Ryan said there, the right outcome was reached at Celtic, got a penalty. Tam coming in, laugh out loud. Indeed, yes. On you go, Ryan, sorry.
Yeah, I think that's everything we've covered. Obviously, with some comments about Kuhn as well, and the fact that they've looked over his performance and he knows where he needs to get better tactically. He needs to improve.
What performance?
No, I know.
We've
moved on, Tony. We've moved on from that performance. Yes, I gave him a 4 out of 10 on my player ratings. I gave Bernabe a 5, but he's probably a 6 or a 7 on reflection. So.
Did you put Nicholas Kuhn and in brackets Peter Brady the other night? And for those that need that reference explained, that's the Invisible Man. Okay, just to break it down for you, yes. Nicholas Kuhn, aka Peter Brady at Easter Road the other night. But Brendan Rodgers did say he'd had a word with him. But I would expect that anyway with the analysts and all the people that you have there. That I thought that he was given a real opportunity in a high-pressure game, and he just disappeared. It happens. There's plenty of games to atone. As good as he was on Saturday when he came on his cameo against Aberdeen, he was poor the other night. It happens. So,
absolutely,
being a bit flippant there, calling him Peter Brady, but there you have it. It's Friday night.
I think that's everything that we've covered and on the show
so far.
Yeah, it seems to be. We've covered Paulo Bernardo. If you want to go back and check what we said about the Portuguese midfielder, then we spoke about Brendan Rodgers. Is there anything else you want to add, Tony?
No, not that anything springs to mind. Just to encourage everyone who, if they enjoy what we do, to hit that subscribe button. It costs you £4 for 4 months or £18 for the year. And I'll take out a yearly subscription, and you'll help support top quality journalism covering the club you love in the process. So hit that subscribe button, guys. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe if you haven't already. That's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. So there you go. Thank you for that. And we'll be back pre-match and post-match on Sunday. Hopefully from the Smiza Stadium. Just waiting for all things being equal and being told that we've got the green light to go there. But hopefully you guys can enjoy Friday and Saturday. It's always result dependent. I tell you that every week, don't I? But enjoy your Friday and Saturday. Myself and Ryan day's not quite done yet, is it, Ryan?
Yeah, still need to write about these press conferences as well, but
keep your eye out on the website for that, guys.
It's never a chore writing about Celtic regardless, so we'll look forward to bringing that out. Please check the website later on and we'll have a couple of stories from those press conferences if you are interested. Thanks once again, MPH Group, plumbing, heating, kitchens and bathroom works. They are in association with Navy and Boilers as well. All the links are in the description, and we thank them once again for sponsoring this video. And please subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Completely free. We're at 9.2k, which is incredible considering I think last week we hit 9,000 subscribers. We're on the road to 10. We're going to try and get 10. Please get us to 10,000 subscribers. Please press that subscribe button. You get notifications when we go live with videos like these, with the morning briefings with Hamish, with pre and post match videos, as well as pre-recorded content when Celtic are linked with players. So yeah. If you can do all that, then we would really, really appreciate it.
Excellent. As I say, have a wonderful Friday night and Saturday. We'll see you all again on Sunday. Looking forward to that. Scottish Cup time, Ryan. Do you still get excited at the Scottish Cup?
I get excited with any Celtic game, to be honest. As much as I like it being the Scottish Cup, I do like the league format. I've always liked the league format of, the 3 points for a win. But then again, there is that bit of jeopardy with if you don't win your game in the Scottish Cup or the League Cup for that matter, then you're out of the competition. It's like an eliminator.
Yeah.
So there's definitely pros and cons with both. But I'm looking forward to getting back in the cup this weekend. Hopefully Celtic can defend their trophy with honour.
As you say, hopefully they're in the hat for the quarter-final draw. That's what it's all about. By hook or by crook, just be in that draw. Guys, thank you very much for joining us. Over 200, and I think we reached about 250 at one point. Always appreciate your company. Have a wonderful night. We'll see you all again on Sunday. Ryan, thanks very much. Sterling contribution as always, sir. Take it easy. We all speak to you all soon.
Cheers, guys.